John McAfee, The Digital Fugitive, November 11, 2012. A neighbor is found with a bullet in his skull. By dawn, police name their suspect, John McAfee, the millionaire who created antivirus software installed on millions of computers. When officers arrive to question him, he's gone. What follows looks impossible. He fakes his death twice, bribes his way out of a Guatemalan detention cell just hours before extradition, and spends 18 months evading the FBI on a yacht while taunting authorities on social media. Every time the net tightens, he vanishes. This isn't just a fugitive story. It's a study in how one man made the world's most powerful institutions look clumsy. How did he stay free so long? And what happened when they finally caught him? John McAfee's rise began in 1987 in Silicon Valley. A programmer at Lockheed, he wrote a tiny virus detection program in his spare time and named it Virus Scan. Within months, he quit his job to sell it. McAfee Associates grew from his car trunk into a company that protected half of the Fortune 100. By 1990, his mix of technical skill and showmanship made him a tech celebrity. But corporate life stifled him. Board meetings bored him and bureaucracy felt like a prison. McAfee had a streak of rebellion. He was expelled from a doctoral program for an affair, fired from jobs for showing up high, and known for wild workplace antics. In 1993, he sold his shares for about $100 million and walked away. For years, he drifted between yoga retreats, ultralight planes, and Eastern mysticism. The 2008 financial crash wiped out much of his fortune, and by 2009, he fled to Belize, seeking freedom and isolation. He bought land on Ambergris Caye and built a jungle compound. He hired bodyguards and local muscle, ran odd experiments in a small lab, and surrounded himself with followers and teenage girlfriends. By day, he flew ultralight planes. By night, he threw bonfire parties where guns were part of the decor. But the paranoia that once helped him succeed began to twist. He picked fights with gangsters, clashed with neighbors, and convinced himself that the state wanted him dead. Tensions with one neighbor, Gregory Fall, escalated. In April 2012, Belizean police raided McAfee's compound. They shot one of his dogs, confiscated weapons and lab gear, and locked him in a Belize city cell. No drugs were found, only an unlicensed firearm charge. He bribed a guard for a cigarette and walked free the next day. But that moment changed everything. McAfee fortified his home with cameras and guns, slept with a pistol under his pillow, and began speaking of assassination plots. For him, paranoia became survival. On November 9, 2012, 4 of his dogs were poisoned and died. The following night, a gunshot echoed across the island. On November 11th, Gregory Fall was found dead in his villa, with a single bullet to the back of the head. His laptop and phone were missing. Police rushed to question McAfee, but his compound was empty. He and his girlfriend, Samantha, had vanished into the jungle. Within hours, McAfee was literally buried in the sand, hiding while police searched nearby. That image became the opening scene of a global manhunt. He didn't run blindly. McAfee had safe houses, local allies, and a network of hideouts, warehouses, fishing shacks, and concrete bunkers. Police swept the area with dogs and helicopters, but he slipped away. 3 days after the murder, under cover of darkness, he paid $2,000 to be ferried illegally into Guatemala. By dawn, he was in Guatemala City under a false name. Fame betrayed him. McAfee invited Vice magazine for an exclusive and let them photograph him. A hobbyist noticed the photos contained GPS data that revealed his location. Within hours, police surrounded his hotel. On December 5, 2012, Guatemalan police arrested him for illegal entry and prepared to deport him to Belize. Fearing he would be killed if he returned, McAfee staged a dramatic ploy. He faked a heart attack in custody, gasping for air and manipulating his vitals to buy time. The act delayed deportation and triggered legal appeals. Eventually, Guatemala sent him to the United States instead of Belize. Back in America, McAfee switched between quiet domestic life and chaos. He married Janice in 2013, spent months in Portland, and then returned to provocation. He released viral videos mocking his own antivirus, ran for president in 2016 under the Cyber Party, and preached about privacy and cryptocurrency. By 2018, he lived aboard a 75-foot yacht, equipped with satellite internet and firearms. He hadn't filed a tax return since 2010. In January 2019, a federal grand jury in Tennessee secretly indicted him on tax evasion and related charges that could have meant decades in prison. Rather than surrender, he vanished to sea. What followed was an 18-month chase across the Caribbean. He used cash and cryptocurrency, encrypted phones and VPNs, body doubles and decoys. He taunted authorities from social media, using fame as a shield. Governments hesitated to create a public spectacle, and his constant movement made capture nearly impossible. Still, the net closed in. In July 2019, Dominican officials detained him for illegal firearms. After negotiations and likely payments, he was released. He drifted to Eastern Europe, posting cryptic videos claiming he had files on global corruption as insurance. Then, in October 2020, he stopped running and rented an apartment near Barcelona. On October 5th, his passport flagged at El Prat Airport. Spanish police arrested him on a U.S. warrant. After years of slipping through the world's fingers, John McAfee was finally in custody. He spent 8 months in Brian's 2 prison near Barcelona awaiting extradition. He faced tax and fraud charges and the possibility of decades in prison. He used tweets and tattoos to stir conspiracy theories, comparing himself to Jeffrey Epstein and claiming he would never kill himself. The Spanish court approved extradition on June 23, 2021. Hours later, guards found McAfee dead in his cell, hanging from his bedding. He was 75. Officials ruled it a suicide. Janice and many followers called it foul play, citing timing and motive. The body remained in a Spanish morgue for months, as legal battles over his estate dragged on. International agencies had tracked him for years. 3 countries issued warrants, Interpol circulated alerts, and diplomats argued over jurisdiction. Journalists and podcasters turned his story into legend. He became a digital Icarus who monetized fear and turned paranoia into performance. He once said, "It is better to live one day as a lion than 1,000 years as a lamb." He lived by that creed until the end. The final question remains, did he lose the fight, or did he choose the only exit he would accept?